Well, if a man is a dusty, stay tuned. Welcome to Goddess Inner Circle. This is Tasha, Women's Empowerment Specialist, where we do women's empowerment over here. Hit the plus sign, join the Goddess Inner Circle, double tap the video, like, comment, share. Let's get right into it.
All right. So here you have a channel of women's empowerment, right? And the women's empowerment is you're a goddess, you're a queen, you're a boss chick, you're a diva, you're Nefertiti, you're the sea moss. You're all of these very magical things. You're a unicorn in the sky. And what this does is it feeds the female ego. And everybody likes to get compliments, but women are very different when it comes to compliments, right? Women, Chris Rock said women need food, water, and compliments. So I think it's true. It's part of the same mechanism that makes women pay so much attention to compliments. Is the same mechanism that makes them so adversarial when it comes to any form of criticism. They receive it as bashing. If someone gives them an honest criticism of behavior, bad behavior, and then anything that you say that is good, that builds them up, it fires off all that dopamine and it makes them feel great. So this is a woman that's making a living off of that. When you talk about actual advice, because now I've taken the time to look at some of her content, she isn't talking about how to actually build wealth on any of her videos. What she does instead is she is talking about, why it's important to do these things. So everybody knows it's important to build wealth. Everybody knows it's important to have a good mate that is, out there performing and stuff like that. But in terms of actually teaching any discernment to these women so that they can evaluate the character of the men that they're dealing with, she's not doing that. So here's another video from her, and this one is focused on me. And the reason why was because I saw her doing all this empowerment stuff, and she was talking about how you don't need to accept men who are like this or that. And, I was like, hey, these women are teaching. She was talking about dating and how if a man takes you here or spends money in this way, then this means he's no good, right? They're using how a man spends his money to try to get an indication of that man's character and thereby his potential as a husband. So here you have a woman that's speaking to our women, and our women are struggling with not dealing with men of low quality, which her and I would probably agree on that point, right? I don't want our women dealing with men who have multiple children by multiple women they never married, dealing with men that have children that they don't parent for or provide unless the man is being parentally alienated, right? I want our women to save themselves by not giving themselves to men of low value that don't give them any form of commitment. I would love to see our women, in fact, saving themselves to marriage because I think they're so valuable, right? And in addition to that, that means that Dusties wouldn't get a chance, right? Because Dusties, which she's putting me into the box of Dusties, right? These guys are fuckboys. They want to, they don't take responsibility for their own lives. They don't take responsibility as provider men, and they still want to reproduce and have access to sex. So you would think her and I would agree on more than we don't, but here's why we don't. This is the Goddess Inner Circle. And the Goddess Inner Circle is all of that fluff talk where your goddesses, boss bitches, divas, queens, and all of that stuff. And I believe that comes from a form of narcissism. It comes from grandiosity and the ego. One of the primary aspects of narcissism is that you believe that you are more important and that you are better than other people, right? And I do think that some people are better than other people, but I think they're that way because of their choices, their actions. I think they're that way because of their character, because of their integrity. But I don't think that you're just better than other folks because you're a woman. I don't think that. And I think women who teach that are teaching women to be single, because I don't believe any rational man who has a practical approach to his own life and wants to start a family wants to do that with a woman who has such a grandiose understanding of herself and approach to who she is and her identity. I don't think that practical men see themselves as gods. I've been, in the corporate world for the last damn near 20 years. And, the men who are there are just hardworking men. And part of what makes you successful in life as a man is, being consistent. That's definitely important. Being hardworking, that's another very important thing. But also having a very sober and practical appraisal of yourself, because without you being able to see your weaknesses, you can't do anything to cover them. right? But women like this, they are prosperity preachers to other women in the female empowerment space. And I think it keeps them single big time, because no man in his right mind wants to deal with a woman who talks like this or thinks like this. So she's got the fake eye color, right? She's got the fake hair, right? You can even see the lines of the if you look closely, the white lines of the wig. And so I look at this, and I'm not trying to attack the way she looks per se. What I'm doing is pointing out that the empowerment women, the divas, the boss chicks, they are in costume, right? They're hiding from the reality of themselves and purporting to know about a hidden reality where you're really a goddess, and all you have to do is accept that, and then everything's going to work out in your life. And ultimately, single women keep women single. So let's hear her criticisms of me a little bit more, which they won't be. They have nothing to do with me. I listened to the video, and in her video, she goes on to say that I am a dusty because I am daring to even comment on women at all. That's because if you're a man and you have anything to say about bad female behavior, if you have any criticism to lay at the feet of women, then you are a toxic man. You are a dusty. You are trying to tear women down so that you can use, abuse, manipulate them. It's the patriarchy again. But this is really just a whole bunch of bullshit that women use, that when they do not want to hear fair criticism at all. That's all it boils down to. So let's hear more of what she has to say.
One of the telltale signs that a man is a dusty is the fact that he's in women-only spaces. This is the goddess inner circle. This is a women's empowerment channel. This channel is for educating women, providing advice, commentary on women's topics. For some reason, dusty men are attracted to more feminine things. So they like to be in circles to see what women are talking about. Another reason why they do this is because they don't want their cover blown. If enough single women are educating other single women, that means no more vagina for them.
All right, so I'm not concerned about no more vagina for me. Not only because, we're living in these empowerment women. They don't believe body count matters, right? And so that means they believe they can sleep with whoever they want, whenever they want, right? Which doesn't make vagina more difficult to get. It makes it easier to get, right? And so women like this are telling women that their value is super high, and that you should limit people's access to you, while simultaneously saying that, hey, if you give everybody access to you, that's your business. And if any man doesn't want you, then that means that they are low quality, they are patriarchal, they're trying to oppress and control you. So, and I would tell women the opposite there. I would tell them that, you're so valuable that no man should get access to you except for a husband, a man who's willing to make the ultimate commitment to you, right? But this is just her saying, hey, look at her face. This is her just saying, hey, if you dare to say anything about women, then this is what qualifies you as a dusty. And now I'm going to make all of these ridiculous presuppositions about you without taking the time to listen to your content at all. So she just did a hit piece, and didn't know she was, fucking with the dragon. So let's go ahead and hear the rest of this shit.
We teach other women not to settle. If we teach other women to have self-worth and value, if we're educating and empowering women, that means dusties don't get to have more 50-50 marriages where they're hoarding 50% of their income so that they end up leveling up and marrying a woman who they take care of. If we keep empowering women.
So this is another thing. She says 50-50 marriages. So I believe men should take the lead in terms of responsibility for protection, provision, and providing, right? So providing is covering the expense of the life that you're living. Provision is the money that's set aside for planning for the future of you and your spouse, right? And so I believe men should be taking lead, dog, in protection, provision, and providing. I was I had a stay-at-home wife, right? And so for men who can afford that, I believe they should be doing that. For men who cannot afford that, hey, that's the average guy. The average marriage, which these goddesses know nothing about. The average marriage, 72% of women work. They work at part-time or full-time. They just work less and not as long as their husbands do, right? The average woman who is married, I think, works like 18 years or something like that, whereas the average woman who is unmarried works like 26 years or 27 years, something like that. So, you know, your husband works to retire you, right? You guys work together, but your husband is working to retire you. And the more money he makes, the less you have to do, the less consequential your income is, the more quickly you are able to retire as a woman. And I advocate for men to do that. So this is her espousing an idea based off something that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that I teach, because I'm in her comment section at all. I dared to criticize at all. Now, all of a sudden, I am going to be a representative for all the things that she preaches against without her having any foreknowledge of what my content is. Look at that face.
As single ladies, then it's game over for them. They will have no one to manipulate. For some odd reason, they're more focused on what women are teaching other women instead of focusing on leveling themselves up, nurturing their masculinity, getting out there, getting that bag. Masculine men are not concerned.
All right. And so this is where to me, you have a lot of women who talk about what a real man is or what a masculine man is. Meanwhile, they ain't dated no masculine men, ain't married to no masculine men. Their father was a punk. Now, I don't know her personal life at all. I don't know it from a hole in the wall. She might be married. She might have a dad that is, you know, fucking King Dingaling. I have no clue. All right. But here's what I am saying. The women who normally talk this stuff about what masculine men are doing, who have absolutely no problem telling men who and how they should be, who accept no criticism from men whatsoever, but have no problem talking about what the men are supposed to be. These women are typically perpetually single just because the type of guy she's looking for is not looking for her, right? Men who have their shit together don't like boss chick mindsets. They like meek. They like humble. They like, you know, a different type of relationship and energy from a woman that's feminine. And I don't think that her behavior is feminine. I think it's all in the ego, right? All of her energy is in the ego. And so, you know, the point that I don't focus on, I make tons of men's content about men being responsible and stepping up and doing what they're supposed to do. So she's just completely unfamiliar with my content. And she says that if you criticize the women at all, this is what makes you a Dusty. You're not focused on the bag. Now, here's the point that I stopped the video to make. Okay, this is actually a nice looking view of her face right there, right? She is beautiful, right? Not my type, but she is a beautiful woman. I don't know what she looked like without the makeup and the hair and the eyelashes. I mean, she probably looked like one of my cousins then, but I mean, hey, women be putting on a whole costume. All right, so let's go ahead and deal with it. The men are in a leadership position in our community. We're supposed to be. Okay, so that does not mean that we cannot say anything to women. The idea that there is absolutely no correction that a man can offer to women whatsoever are from rebellious women, women who do not want any correction from men whatsoever, any criticism from men whatsoever. Because not trying to flex or anything, but I am the type of guy she's talking about, right? I'm a business owner. I take care of business. I've been working in corporate America for 20 plus years. I'm a multiple, six-figure earner, and I have been for like 17 years, about 16 years. So what she's really doing is her problem is that she just doesn't want the criticism from a man at all. And she's willing to attack any man that criticizes. And so she tries to teach women no man has a right, no matter what, to say anything to you. And if he does, then that is the indication that's the only indication you need to put him into the Dusty Pookie Ray Ray box. And this is the problem with our women, why a lot of them don't fit with the men that they're looking for, because they hate accountability, they hate responsibility, they hate correction, and they are willing to argue and fight against any man that gives any correction whatsoever. So that is what this young lady is doing, unfortunately. You know, and if the men who do feel some type of responsibility to the community, those men, we are going to correct you, ladies, right? Because we are the leaders of the community. Whether you don't get to pick that, you get to pick whether or not you want to follow. But then, you know, if you're following yourself, what man are you currently submitted to that you're following? Right? Nobody. So what are you teaching these women? To submit and follow you. And you aren't ever going to marry them. You aren't a representative of what is going to marry them. I am. And so if you don't want to hear anything from the people that you're supposedly teaching them to level up so they can get the best man that they can get, the video that I'm responding to is a video where we were dealing with dating and how to avoid and discern. That's what you were talking about in the video. But you have no clue how these men think. You have no clue how these men think or what they want. And so the message you're giving is useless to these women. Okay, let's keep going.
About what single women are teaching other single women. You know,
yeah, if you're poisoning the community with your bullshit, then yes, the men of your community should stand up and say, hey, listen, ladies, that was bad advice, right? You ladies have been telling each other shitty advice for the last 50 years. How do you think we got into this position as a community? You're single, you're independent, you don't need a man, right? Body count doesn't matter. Your body, your choice, right? I want a man, I don't need a man. Who do you think taught you guys that shit? Other single, bitter women taught you guys all this stupid shit that no man who wants a wife wants to hear come out of a woman's mouth. And that's why you're having such a hard time finding husbands. It's not because you're not empowered enough. you got three, not you, but you got women in our community who have 2 or 3 different kids by 2 or 3 different men, and they call themselves goddesses. Y'all are overpowered in terms of what you think about yourself. You know, you don't have a sober appraisal of how men view you on any level. So this is why you're having a problem. You're somebody that's filling up a cup that's already overflowing with the empowerment bullshit.
why? Because they're confident, they're self-assured, they have money, they have power, they have status, and they always know how to cultivate relationships. On the other hand, dusty men are very, very concerned about what single women are teaching other single women. And you have to wonder why.
Because if we don't monitor what you guys are saying to one another, then you say stupid shit like the shit you're saying. That keeps women single. That's why men who care about the community care about what information is being espoused in the community. That is exactly why. Because you girls have been telling each other stupid shit for the last 50 years. And that's why 84% of our children are being born out of wedlock by less than 18% of the men. Because y'all been giving each other bad advice. And so there are men now online who are correcting women. And you're watching it in real time. Right? And you probably thought Kevin Samuels was a dusty. Right? Even though now that you're making content online, you see how much he must have been able to invest in him having multiple setups around the country. He had 3 different offices that he worked from around the country. His main office with the white desk, another office with a brown desk, and then another office that was in Florida that he worked from a couch, a setup that he worked from a couch. You can see now that you're a content creator how much money this man must have had to invest and all of that bullshit that he had all around him while he was speaking to everybody like this. But you ladies overlook the obviousness of the truth because you don't like the message, because the message is criticizing you. So you call the person dusty. And that's the best you got. The only argument you have, this entire video you have, is that any man who comes in and disagrees with me is a dusty, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't care what women tell one another, even though he's supposed to take responsibility for his community and women are part of the community. And he'd be too busy, hyper-focused on his money to take any time to respond to a woman. So basically, the reason that I'm a dusty is because I'm talking to your silly ass. Fuck out of here. Listen to this stupid shit.
Even if I'm giving bad advice, what does that have to do with you as a man? Do you not think that women have enough brains and intelligence to filter out advice that works for them?
No, I do not. I think if you stroke a woman's ego, you can get her to do anything. And that's why there's so many women who have children by men who ain't shit in our community because they got tricked. He tricked me. He told me this. He told me that. That's yes, no. I don't think you guys have that level of discernment, especially as it pertains to advice or men. If somebody is telling you what you want to hear, I don't think you guys can tell the difference between bullshit and truth when somebody is stroking your ego. No, I do not. Not the vast majority of women and not the vast majority of our women. And I believe that that is being demonstrated in real time in our community. So no, I think people like yourself who make content that is female empowerment, ego stroking bullshit, you guys need to stop personally, right? I think you need to be on sandwich duty. I don't think you need to be making content, telling women that they're goddesses and queens in the goddess circle and all this stupid shit. I do not. Exactly. No, I do not.
No, you don't. As a man in this patriarchy, you think that you can dominate, manipulate, and tell women what to do and how to think.
I'm telling women what the type of men that they want. I'm not telling women what to do. I don't know how you need to be a woman. I do know, though, that the type of men you say you want don't want any of the shit that you represent. So me telling women that is not me telling women how to be women, right? If you can't tell the difference between me saying this is how you should be as a woman versus this is what, if you want this type of man, this is what he's looking for. Those are two different things. Those are two different things.
So if you want to avoid a dusty, if you want to know what a dusty looks like, look at my comments. It's only the men, and contrary to what I teach single women.
And there you have it. The men that disagree with me, I name call them and I ad hominem and attack them. There you go. With a bow on top. Everything else she said was bullshit. Y'all have a good day.
These are the only men threatened by women becoming empowered. So you need to stay woke. How can
And don't miss that she talked about the patriarchy shit. These women, there's still a contingent of women who aren't listening to any content from male content creators. They don't know where the men are pointed directionally. And so because of that, they are still kicking all of the stuff that men have demonstratively said that they are no longer dealing with. And so, ladies, the social justice warrior mindset, no man who wants a wife is dealing with that anymore. In fact, you got the passport bros. You have guys who are leaving the country to avoid women. And I know that the passport bros, women have made up their own narrative about why they're leaving. They call them sex traffickers and sex, tourists and all of this stuff. But these are men that from their mouths and in their spaces, they are leaving the country because they want wives, not sex. We can get all the sex we want in America. America's body count don't matter. The men are leaving to avoid women who say body count don't matter. So anyways, your social justice warrior women are racism, LGBTQ, and feminism. And the feminism, the primary concepts of feminism are misogyny, patriarchy, toxic masculinity. When guys hear girls who talk about patriarchy and blame normal men's behavior, everyday men's behavior on the patriarchy, we know right away you have been infected with this mindset. You don't view men or as people. You see everything through misogyny, patriarchy, toxic masculinity. So you're no good for a wife. So just so you know, ladies, since she hasn't told you, men that hear this type of speak out of women, no man who has his shit together wants to marry a feminist or a womanist or the empowered goddess green or the tree moss bullshit she's talking about. No man who has his shit together wants to come home and argue with you about who's in charge. No man who has his shit together wants to come home and deal with your empowered ego of yourself. They want a helpmeet. Men who have their shit together want a helpmeet. So I hope that this video helps for all the ladies that do watch it. I'm going to post it to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to do a secondary video for my TikTok that's only going to be about 3 minutes long, but it would probably be about 5 minutes long because I'm going to do a quick breakdown of this. But this, ladies, these women are your problem in my opinion, because they push the zero accountability mindset through the empowerment speech. And the empowerment speech is nothing you do matters because you're a goddess and a queen, and all you need to do is focus on trying to deal with hyper successful men while ignoring all the things that hyper successful men say that they want from women. Because if he's a hyper successful man but he doesn't want what I say he should want, then he's not a real man. He's a dusty. He can be a dusty that makes a whole lot of money, but if he doesn't think like I think as a 40-some-odd-year-old single woman, if he doesn't think like I think, then he's a dusty. Good luck with that.